evaluate this idea. You got it.
Most of these tools that have this type of stuff will give you details on what the actual problem is and how to resolve it. What they won't do is...
What a great idea, right? What a simple but great idea. What's going on? How's your week been?
So far so good.
Yeah?
But, it's early on.
It is still early. It's Wednesday, right?
Yeah. That's early.
I had a you can't call it a bachelor party because it wasn't a bachelor party, but it was a buddy of mine's getting married this weekend, and it's just a very, very, very small thing. Like 20 people are going, and so we went to dinner last night at 𝙎𝙧𝙧𝙧 in King of Prussia. Yeah, good spot.
I love 𝙎𝙧𝙧.
𝙎𝙧𝙧's good
𝙎𝙧's
spot.
my favorite.
Yeah.
It's funny how those Brazilian steakhouses have started.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, they're all
10
over
years
the
ago,
place.
you couldn't find them.
Right. Yeah, now they're all over the
Yeah.
place. And they're so good. The steak is so
I know.
good. Oh, my God.
Back in my I could eat whatever I wanted days.
Yeah.
I would love going there, and I kept waiting on them to kick me out. Like there's gotta be a point in time where they go, no, you've had enough.
Yeah,
right?
you've tested that theory.
Never been stopped even.
That's too funny.
So,
yeah, so that was a good time. So we have the wedding on Saturday. It's a noon wedding in a park. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be a nice place. Nice thing.
Yeah.
It's like 20 people or so real small. But he's older. It's a second wedding. How it goes.
my second wedding was literally at. We went to the courthouse.
Oh, okay.
There were 6 of us there.
Vegas.
No, here locally, like walking distance from my house.
Right.
And then we all went out for a nice lunch afterwards, and that was it.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was super. Both of us had done the big weddings before, and we're like, no, not again.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it again. In fact, I don't recommend anyone do it the first time. Nowadays.
It's a very poor investment.
It is. It's not an investment at all.
No, there's
no investing whatsoever. It is an expense. All
correct.
it is.
I mean, it's a
big
celebration,
expense.
and I get it. Like it's nice, it's cool, but people are spending the equivalent to a down payment on a house right now.
Right, or
on
sometimes a
weddings.
house.
Yeah.
You've seen the show Bridezillas and things like that. I've never saw an actual episode, but I see clips of it every once in a while.
I watched episodes. Yeah.
Oh, you've seen full episodes?
I had to.
Oh,
yes.
Makes you not want to get married.
It makes you not want to do weddings.
Yeah, right. It makes you not want to have a wedding. Exactly.
So, but no, it's you should watch an episode. And you pick a random episode.
Oh, I'm sure they're all the same.
15 minutes in, you're going to be like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I've seen everything I need to see.
I've seen the worst of humanity.
Yes.
All right. Well, speaking of humanity, let's see what's going on in the world today. All right. Let's see. So Virgin Mojito 7 says, roast my idea. Gladly. On building Save Squad, which is a temporary name, an app designed to make saving fun and social by encouraging users to save money with friends, family, or colleagues through savings goals, group challenges, and friendly competition. It offers users the ability to save individually or pool funds together for group goals while also tracking and rewarding their progress on group leaderboards. Ooh, that's kind of interesting.
So, right off the bat,
yeah,
I like the idea.
Right.
Because anytime you get third-party encouragement or get to see what other people are doing, a lot of times that encourages you, like fitness apps.
I was just going to say, same thing with fitness. Yeah, fitness.
100%.
So Edge Fitness, which is right behind us here, they do, I think they do it once a year. They do like a weight loss goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not weight loss. It's a fitness challenge, and I think it has to do with BMI, and they get competitors. They'll have like 40, 50, 60 people that compete in this thing, and it's a challenge between all the competitors who can lose the most body fat, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason why it works is because you have other people that are helping you along, encouraging you, et cetera. And this could be the same kind of thing.
Correct. Like years ago, I did Weight Watchers by myself and did horribly. Then like 8 of us got together and started doing it as a group. And every week, Thursday morning, you were supposed to, put in your numbers, whatever. And the encouragement we were giving each other, like nobody, if you would go up, nobody would knock you. But whenever you had a positive result, people would like root for you, right? It made a huge difference. My wife on a random Saturday will go, damn it. And I'm like, what? And she's like, my friend just took a 6-mile hike this morning because it reported on her app. And I'm like, so what? She's like, I'm going to go on the treadmill. I'm like, okay, good for you.
Yeah, she's encouraged by it.
So my only concern is like the legal aspect of grouping money together, if that's what he's talking about.
I don't know if
money.
So is the app actually taking the money and saving it, or is the person just saying, I put this much money aside, like I opened up a bank account and put this much money aside?
Oh.
If it's just a ledger,
right,
there's no legalities.
Correct. But if you're pooling funds,
if you're actually taking
goals,
the money, now you're a bank, and that's a very different story.
Well, PayPal isn't a bank.
They have to follow I'm sure there's some kind of bank regulations they have to follow.
There's something called like a forwarding service, or where you're not a bank, you're actually an intermediary. So you're holding funds, so you can't actually.
So Venmo is kind of the same thing.
Correct. You can't spend the money. You're literally just middlemanning.
I've never looked that up before. I actually need. that's something I've always been curious about. I want to look that one up.
Yeah. So they don't operate as a bank in the fact that they hold and relend the money, or.
Well, I know they don't lend it, right?
Correct.
I know they don't lend it. I thought anyone that held money had to be.
Now PayPal does, but I think
it doesn't really. Well, it's for credit cards.
No, they have PayPal small business loans. They have PayPal loans.
Get out of here.
But I think that's all funded through a bank. So once again, they're just an intermediary.
Okay.
They're not the ones actually providing the money or provide. It's weird. I got to look up the details on it.
Yeah, so do I.
But back in the day when PayPal started, they were literally like a payment gateway, right? Like they never took the money per se. They just managed
processed.
Pointing
they
it
processed.
from
take it from here,
B.
put it over here.
Correct.
Right. I really thought that any company or anyone or any entity that held money on behalf of somebody else, there had to be some type of banking regulation associated with that. I could be wrong. I never actually looked it up. I always wanted to.
Yeah, because a lot of these aren't considered banks, right? Like Venmo is not FDIC insured or any of that stuff.
It's not a bank, but I still think there's some type of banking regulation.
Probably.
There's got to be like some subchapter in the banking code for someone for an entity that holds somebody else's money, because you're holding it in trust. Right?
Correct.
It has to be in trust. It has to be regulated. There's no question about it. I just don't know how it's regulated.
Right. I don't know either.
I need to look that up. So again, for this app, if you're talking about taking the money, which again might not be a bad idea, because hey, person A, person B, and person C all say, yeah, put in $10. Now the money's in the center. Because the problem is if person A and person B actually save $10 and person C just says they saved $10,
correct,
right, without actually doing something, that could be.
But it's kind of cool. Like let's say 4 friends have a goal of, we want to go to a resort, right? And if we book for all 8 of us, it's going to be cheaper than if we book individually.
Right. Of course.
So everybody can set a goal.
It's a vacation fund.
I'm going to put $500 in over the next year. Everybody has to put in $500. It doesn't matter if you put it in on day 1 or on the last day.
Or over time.
Yep.
A little here, a little there.
But yeah, I think stuff like this is always a good idea.
Yeah, and I like the idea of socializing and making it.
Anything that encourages people to save money.
Yeah.
Like it's not a bad idea.
Right. Whereas most apps encourage you to spend money.
Correct.
So no, this is a cool idea. So I would say, as we've said already a couple times here, if you're keeping the money for the people, right? You're putting it into an account for them. Then there's got to be some regulations, whether it's banking or something else. There's something out there. I'm not sure what it is, but you can find out pretty quickly.
I think you're going to fall under the same categories like the
Venmo or PayPal. Oh, you absolutely will. Whatever they're doing, you're going to have to do as well.
Correct.
If you're just a ledger and people are telling you that they put money aside, then there's really there's no harm, no foul. There's nothing to worry about there, as far as from a legal standpoint.
Now it's just a matter of, as a group, you said you did it.
Right.
You can't actually prove
now you got
did
to hold
it.
each other accountable for actually holding. Because it'd be funny, the 8th or 9th month comes and it's time to pay for the resort or whatever, and the guy's like, I don't actually have the money in there.
I put it in my savings account, but I didn't log the times I had to pull it out.
Something came up and I had to.
I blew a tire.
Right. There's always something, right?
Yep.
The car's always on the fritz.
But overall, good idea. I like it.
Yeah. So good luck with that. That's a really good one.
Encourage people to save. 100%.
All right, so far so good. One for
I
one.
know.
1 for 1 today.
We're
All
batting really
Let's
well.
see what we have here. Hey, if you're having a good time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Oh, and press the like button. Leave a comment.
Do you like the like button?
I like the like button.
I really like the like button.
Do you know what I love, though?
What?
Comments. I love
Comments.
comments.
Comments are great.
Especially if they're questions that we can get to and actually answer.
That's right. So leave us some comments and we'll get back to you on those.
Okay.
All right, let's get back to it. Okay. Evaluate this idea. Extra Strawberry 203. You got it. All right. Hi, all. I'm a software consultant with more than 5 years of work experience in 3 different countries. I plan to start a newsletter where I can analyze websites from a rough technical point of view and a business point of view and help readers quickly gauge their ideas' feasibility. I will not use ChatGPT, but my work experience and professional network to analyze websites. I hypothesize that new business owners and non-technical startups will find this useful. If you like the idea, leave a comment and I will message you my Substack to get your feedback. Interesting. No, you have that look. You have that look like you want to say something. Just say it.
It's funny because people come up with ideas like this, and I'm like, so you want to be a technical SEO consultant?
Right.
Because that's really what they do. There's software out there that will analyze a website from a technical point of view, and then from the business point of view is more the marketing side of things. Unless they're talking about actually evaluating the business idea itself. But that's what business consultants do, right?
Okay,
I'm unclear about what it is that.
Well, he just says analyze. We don't know what he means by analyze. It could mean a variety of things.
Right. Like I can tell you, log onto your website and tell you whether your color scheme is bad or whether it's technically bad. Like there's so many different.
So maybe the word analyze here needs to include a variety of things, right? Because you're right. There's so many tools out there that tell you, is it SEO optimized? Is it this? Is it that? Are there many tools that tell you a whole bunch of things though, right? So let me give you an example. One of the things that's flying around right now all over the country is ADA compliance with websites, American with Disabilities Act. And for those of you who have websites and don't know this, your website is required to be ADA compliant so that people with hearing disabilities or visual disabilities, etc., will be able to still run, go through your website. And there's various requirements, whether it's large, the ability to increase the text size or behind the code, if there's an image, it has the title of what the image is, prompting exactly things like that. And there's unfortunately ADA vultures out there that go or trolls, I should say, that will find websites that aren't ADA compliant and then file a suit against them. We won't get into that. My point is,
we've had to deal with lots of those.
I unfortunately have to deal with them on occasion, not as often as you think, but on occasion I have to deal with them, and they suck. Everyone loses in the end because even if you're right, you're wrong because you've now been part of a lawsuit. You spent $10,000 to prove that you're right. Not the point here. Point is, with a tool that quote unquote analyzes, it should analyze a whole bunch of different things, right? Not just the color scheme, not just ADA compliance, not just SEO optimization, not just whether or not how many sites are linking back to it. It should optimize. It should analyze a whole variety of things with one click. Give them a one-stop shop where they can, because you can do that, right? You can do that. You can go through the site. It might take 15, 20 minutes, but then you get a report with everything about your site that you need to be concerned with, right? And I'm sure you deal with tools like that on a regular basis.
Yep, they exist.
Oh, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm saying if you're going to build something like that, that's what you would build.
So the problem is always you use a tool to get a report, but you have to be able to understand what the report is really saying, right? And most of these tools that have this type of stuff will give you details on what the actual problem is and how to resolve it. What they won't do is tell you how good your copy is, right?
Okay.
They'll just tell you it's good from an SEO perspective, but is it good from a sales perspective, right?
Now, how would you be? That's a great point. Now, I'm trying to think technically here. How would I write an algorithm to tell if my sales content, my sales copy is good for humans to pick it up and say, yes, I want to buy this? Because I know how to do it for SEO. I know how to do it for computer algorithms.
Correct.
I don't know how to do it for people.
So this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
And before you can evaluate whether or not your copy is good for people or not, you need to understand who you're selling to.
Sure.
Because there is not a universal, this is good sales copy.
Sure. B2B, B2C, B to kids, B to adults.
No,
right?
even within personality types.
Oh, sure.
Right? So think about how many people are fear-driven versus pleasure-driven. Right? You would think that most people are pleasure-driven.
Right.
No, it's actually like 56% of people are fear-driven. Right? So if you have, call it FOMO copy, right? Fear of missing out.
Yeah. Yep.
You might have really good copy for someone that has FOMO. It's going to be horrible for someone that doesn't lean in that direction because they're going to be like, so?
Right.
So what if I miss out? So what if you use scarcity tactics or any of that stuff, right? So that's why it's so hard to build any type of, well, it's going to become easier with AI. But before you can tell someone whether their sales copy is good or bad, you need to understand who they're selling to. And that's how you base whether your copy is good or bad.
Okay, so how do you determine that? So let's see. If it were me, I would build a plethora of newsletters, right? All with various not attitudes. What'd you say earlier? Personalities, personality traits, and I would send them to my people, to my newsletter readers. And over time, I would think you'd be able to get a good idea of each individual newsletter reader, what type of personality they are by how they engage with the different personality types. So if I send one out that's fear of missing out, for as you used, right, and a bunch of people interact with that one, but then another one is all about pleasure, and those people don't interact with this one, I have a pretty good idea of what I need to send these people versus the people that interact with the pleasure one.
Correct. So,
right?
So this is how AI is actually changing a lot of this stuff. Is back when ChatGPT first launched, for example, I was testing all kinds of stuff. One of the things I did was I would go on someone's LinkedIn profile. I would copy all of their information, paste it into ChatGPT and say, hey, I need a psychological buyer profile on this person. And ChatGPT would spit it out. And I was doing it with people that I already knew, right? That we'd already analyzed, that I knew personally. So I had a basic understanding of whether it would be correct or not. And it was like 99% spot on.
Okay.
So a lot of this stuff is there. And my prediction is that we are going to get to a point, if we are allowed to track people, we are going to get to a point that if you're logged into Google and you come to my website, you're going to see copy that's customized to you.
Okay.
Right? Because we see that in newsletters. We
Sure.
see it because there we can track all this information. But I think just like we use tracking software, that if you come from an AdWords campaign, you see a different phone number. If you come through Facebook, you see a different phone number. I think it's going to get to the next level where I will almost instantly be able to run a personality profile on you, or I'll get a psychological buyer profile from you, from Google or from Meta, that categorizes you in some.
I see what you're saying.
So when you land on the page, that copy is actually tailored to you.
Sure.
And AI is writing it almost in real time.
I mean, heck, I could do that now.
It's right.
I can make that work now, with the exception of getting the personality type.
Correct. That's the information that we still can't get. But it wouldn't surprise me the least if that's where we're headed.
So supermarkets do that now, and if you've noticed that, if the circulars sometimes that you get in the mail now, they're very different than the one your neighbor gets.
Oh yeah,
and it's a lot of times it's tailored toward you. It's all
Correct.
the stuff that you buy, and based off the stuff that you buy, they're giving you other things that that, in generally speaking, you would be enticed to buy.
Yep. So I think we're going to get to a point. I don't know if they're technically allowed to do this, but we're going to get to a point where Facebook and social media platforms are going to be fantastic because they can give you a basic psych profile of a user, and they can attach it. They could make default profiles, right? Like they could have 12 profiles, but whenever you click on an ad, your profile ID of personality type comes with it as anonymous
Well,
number.
you don't even need an ad. The remarketing, right? They don't use ads for that.
No, not for retargeting, but that means you've already, so that is on platform tracking.
Yeah.
So like I can't see who exactly the people were that came and who I'm retargeting to. Facebook retains all that information.
Of course.
Right? But what I'm talking about
What I'm saying is if someone just goes to your website and you have the cookie or whatever from Facebook to know, you won't know who that person is
Correct.
exactly because
but I would need that identifier. What
in order to
personality-
find out what their personality type is. So the personality type 17 or
Correct.
whatever that is, and your system knows that 17 means
Correct.
FOMO or something.
So
like
this
that.
this is what I really think a lot of this AI is doing behind the scenes, which is why if you're running 3 or 4 different versions of ads, you're basically running them to 3 or 4 different personality types, and the algorithm is figuring out who to serve it to.
It's all marketing. The internet has really gone from scientific research to nothing but marketing. It's all it is.
That's pretty much what it is. But what's interesting is that's why we always say, like, you have to make sure that the ad you put out matches the copy they land on, because the ad that you're putting out is going to hit certain people, certain personality profiles that are most likely to respond to that type of ad.
Right.
But if you have one generic landing page for everybody that comes onto it, it's probably not going to convert, because
No, makes sense.
if you're using a FOMO ad but pleasure copy, those two are not necessarily going to work. Same thing if you're running pleasure ad and then have FOMO copy, it's not always going to. But this is part of the reason when we look at something and we go, oh, it had an 8% conversion rate or
Right.
12% conversion rate, and we consider that good. It's because we haven't gotten to the point yet where we can totally fine tune this entire process. But
Now,
I think we're getting there.
When someone goes on Google and types in keywords to search and they find you,
Yes.
and they hit your link, you can use what's called CGI script to determine where they came from.
Correct.
And I believe because the URL that Google has after you type in the search will give you the keywords that they use to find you as well.
So yeah, you see that you get that in your data, yes.
Right. Well, not just in the data, but in the actual
in the string, yes.
Yeah, exactly. In
Yes.
the redirect string that they, well, not the redirect, but the string that is what's called the referrer string, HTTP referrer. So that'd be interesting to use that to say, okay, I know what they were searching for when they looked for me. Let me give them content written by AI
Right.
that is geared around those words that they're looking for. So it's stronger for those words.
Correct.
Right. So like as an attorney, if someone typed in, looking to start a business.
So right now, that process is almost happening backwards.
Okay.
So if you're running AdWords and you allow Google to create ads for you, that's basically what they're doing backwards. They're
Right.
trying to figure out where are we going to send them on your website,
Right.
based on the ads that we generated for you to get the highest conversion rate. So they're basically doing it just in reverse.
No, I get it.
Because at the end of the day, if you're not converting with your ads, you're going to stop advertising.
Right. Of course.
So they're trying to do everything they can on their end.
to keep the money coming out of your pocket.
Correct.
All right. Well, anyway, so back to this. No, cool. Again, it's out there. There's lots of things that do it.
Yeah,
I would say it's got to be something it's a multi-tool. It can't just do one or two things. It's got to do a
Correct.
variety of things.
Yeah. And I think it's different aspects. And this is why I always say you're never going to eliminate the human element from analyzing anything.
Right.
Not yet, because there's an understanding that we have as humans that what's good here is not good here.
Right.
And AI, for example, is not 100% clear on why is it good here and not good here.
Right.
Because it's missing the third component, right? Which we as humans just know.
It's just instinctively,
Correct.
instinctively in our mind.
When you are in that field and you've been doing it, yes.
AI just hasn't learned that yet. All right.
Yet.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Looking for some constructive feedback on a new project. This is from Wessam McHale. Hey guys, yesterday I deployed an alpha version of a project I've been working on for some time, and I'm looking for genuine feedback about it from others so I can iterate and improve on what I currently have. If you have a minute to spare, please take a look. Honest and constructive feedback is what I'm after, and huge thanks to this. So it doesn't go into what it is.
No, he wants you to click on the link.
Should we click on it? Dare we?
Why not?
All right, let's click on it.
Let's click on it. Let's see what it is.
It's called jsonrepo.com. Let's see.
It sounds like it's...
Scalable API. Oh, so it's an API aggregator. Okay, it's an API aggregator.
This is all you, not me.
All right. Well, okay. Well, so I'll talk about this API aggregator. So for those of you who don't know what an API is, Application Protocol Interface, it is where your website or your system has the ability to interact with another website or system generally through their database, right? But instead of giving you direct access to their database, you get direct access to an API. An API. So if this is you over here, and the other databases over here, there's a layer on the outside called an API. And the API limits you to what you can and can't do. And you'll need like an authorization token and credentials essentially in order to access it. So your website contacts the API and says, give me, let's just say this is a phone book, for ease of use. Give me everybody that's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, right? And you do it and it sends back the information to you. And now your computer or your website can spit out everyone's name that's in Albuquerque, right? And let's say you want to add information to the database and it allows you to do it. You can use the API to send information to the API. The API authorizes it and then sends it into the database. So that's essentially what an API is. Now, the beauty of APIs is the content and the information that you need, right? So for example, if you're on an e-commerce website, you're using an API to run the transactions. When the credit card number comes in, the CVV code, the address, etc., you send it all through the API to your gateway. Gateway processes it and sends it back. The problem with APIs is every single API in the world is different because they're all written by the coders of that particular entity that has the API. So Authorize.net's API is different than PayPal's, is different than Venmo's, is different than your bank's, right? So an API aggregator will take all APIs. So in this case, this guy has 30 plus APIs, which is great. They're probably, good APIs, and allows you to just learn one API. You learn his API or her API, whoever wrote this. And your computer will interact with their APIs, the middleman, who will then interact with the various APIs that you need to have access to.
Got it.
Right? And in some cases, what will happen is one API will interact.
So this is like Zapier,
Yeah.
Make. It's really the same, just on an
it's
API
an
level.
aggregator. Yeah, it's an API aggregator.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again,
I just needed a reference point.
but a lot of people don't know what APIs are.
Yeah. So basically, this is what Zapier does. They just do it on a visual level.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's always a good idea.
So this is more for people that actually might be more programming oriented.
So I'm curious what APIs we're looking at in here. So we have a books API, TV and movies, currencies, nutrition, locations. There's a lot of DNS API. Really? Wow. They have a lot of different stuff here.
That's pretty cool. But I like
credit card generator. Ooh.
Generate
name generator API. Okay, so they have a whole bunch of stuff here. So all right. So maybe this isn't an aggregator. It sounds like what this is a
API library.
Yes, so for example, TV and movies API, my guess is they have their own database of TVs and movies broken down, right? And you can then use their API to get information from that database.
Interesting.
Right? Currency API, nutrition API. The reason why I say all this is because of stuff like name generator API. So they have an algorithm that will generate names for you.
Right.
So they have all these different tools that will allow you to use them within your system, whether it's a website or an application or whatever it is you're building. So that's what this is. Okay. I'd have to spend some time digging into it to see if it's how good it really is, but it looks like it's pretty decent. I love the simple one API to access a variety of different APIs.
I think that's what it is, because it says we offer a range of API endpoints bundled into one service.
Yep.
So that it is an aggregator, right?
It may be an aggregator. An aggregator is when you take outside APIs.
Yeah, that's
this could just be their own. So like the TV and movie one, they could be hitting IMDb.
Right.
They could be.
Right.
Or they might have their own database, at which point it's not an aggregator.
Right.
It's their own system. They just have one API endpoint to hit all these different things.
Okay.
Right? It could be those different things are all outside, at which point it's an aggregator.
That's what it's looking like to me.
It could be, yeah. I would have to dig into it.
Either way, these are always good.
Yeah.
Sapier's proved it.
Yeah.
Makes proved it.
You're talking to a developer here. It makes my life so much easier.
All of this no code type stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Is always going. There's always going to be space for it. Seems like it's just a little bit of code.
Right.
Right.
Well, yes, but it's for coders. It's not for no code. It's not for someone who's doing no code. If you're doing no code, you're going to be limited to 10% of the coding world.
Correct.
10% of what a coder can do. If
correct.
All right. So, I mean, I don't know the tool yet, but it looks interesting. I'll probably look into it a little more, offline, but it looks pretty interesting. All right. Let's see what else we got.
Wanting to become an email provider?
Oh, okay. Let's see.
What is that?
I read that a little too quickly. I thought it was a sponsored thing. All right. So this is from well, I can't read that, but anyway, wanting to become an email provider. Hey gang, I've been wanting to become an email provider after snatching up a premium domain. Now looking for scripts that'll help me get off the ground. I'd like users to sign up and get their email address with my domain, just like Gmail or Hotmail. My experience in the web app is a long one, and I do server management and I help clients build their own in-house email solutions. Any scripts, paid or open source, you can take me to. Much appreciated. Yeah, there's hundreds of them, not thousands of them, where they're written in everything you think of: Java, PHP, Python, Ruby, you name it. There's scripts out there
for email handlers
for having an email platform on your server. That's the easy part.
Correct.
That's the easy part. The hard part is the processing of emails.
Yes.
Getting through the spam, getting through all the nonsense that comes along with maintaining emails.
Yep.
I'm telling you, man, we had a marketing company years ago in Philadelphia, and part of the largest part of our service was website development and hosting, right? And for the longest time, we swore, no, we're going to host your email too, and it will be spectacular. We're going to give you everything. The web hosting, email hosting, you name it, we got it. We got you covered. And the email took up 90% of our day and was the bane of our existence. Yep. I didn't get that email from my client. My email didn't get through. Why am I getting all this spam? Blah, blah, blah. And the best, before you continue, the best was always the ones that I missed an email and it cost me $1 million.
Right.
And they want to sue you for it, of course. I'm going to sue you. I lost all this business because of you because that email didn't come through. Stay away.
Correct.
Stay away.
So we used to do the same thing.
So you know my pain.
We were hosting emails up until 3 years ago. So we were like the integrated digital. You would come to us. One of the reasons we liked hosting their emails is it allowed us to set up things like tracking emails, and it allowed us to measure the success of a marketing campaign, right? And by us hosting the emails, nobody would complain if we set up 5 different tracking email accounts to be able to track what was coming in and going through. So for us, it was a no-brainer. We might as well just offer them, host their email for free, because the challenge in my industry is always proving, did the marketing work? Right? Because we got no phone calls. We got no leads. You did. Right? But if I can't track it and shove it in your face, it never happened. Right? And it got to the point where we were in the exact same shoes, that 99% of the person doing the support was spending their time on supporting emails, not the other stuff that actually mattered far more. So we ended up just going, no, we're done.
Yep. We turned all of our email accounts over to another system. I think it was like Firebase or something like that.
We told everybody,
good luck.
Yeah. We told everybody,
all yours.
Go on Outlook or go on.
And the worst part was everyone expected to be part of the website hosting. And the website hosting, we charge maybe $50 a month. For $50 a month, we're on the phone with people for hours.
Yes.
And hours and
Yes,
hours.
for emails.
For $50 a month. Just for emails. The websites are running fine. No issues with the websites.
Always the email.
It's always the emails.
So, okay. So let's not kill this idea.
Okay. Really? I want to kill it.
No, I don't want to kill it.
I want to save this person a lot of problems.
I know, but
Go ahead.
I mean, you have the major email players out there, right? You have Outlook or Microsoft, which owns a bunch of them. You have Yahoo, Comcast, which owns a bunch of them. And then you have Gmail, right? But then you have all these like little sub providers like Spectrum or so. I mean, there's got to be a way if you want to do this as a business. There has got to be a way to set up a email service provider because I mean, you can't even get a hold of Google email support.
No.
Right? So somehow they're getting away with having an email service with really no support. I mean, same thing with Outlook. Outlook doesn't really have any support.
Why do you think Google has an email service? They don't make money off it. They don't charge. They
No,
charge
they want
businesses.
they want to
charge
know more
businesses.
about you.
Exactly.
It's all about
Yes, that's exactly
It's all about
right.
the money.
It's
It's all
They
about
know everything about you because
Correct.
of your email.
Same thing with Microsoft,
Yeah,
right?
but that's what I'm saying. There's a bigger play here, right? Google didn't start off as an email provider. Google started off as a search engine, and they said, we need to know more about our people. How do we do that? Here's an idea. Let's start an email service. And when everyone uses that, we'll know everything about them.
Correct.
Right? Now, this, unless I'm wrong, is just an email service.
Yeah, but
That hurts.
I want to know what the domain is.
It does. He does make doing some kind of fun.
Right? Like
I'm really curious what the domain is.
I don't know if this has to be bleeped out, but do you remember that there was an email provider that offered free emails? That was whatthefuck.com.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I actually had an email address with them.
Did you?
Just because I thought it was hysterical when I had to, put in your email address for our discounts. And I'm like, I will.
That's funny. Yeah, I did. I do remember. That was a while ago.
Oh, yeah. That was like late 90s, early 2000s. Early 2000s.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, it's 20 years ago.
Man, I'm old.
I know.
20. It's more than that. 24.
Well, I think it was early 2000s.
Okay.
Right? So call it 20 years ago.
I'm old. Wow. So, all right.
No. But
I get it. I know what he wants to do. I know why he wants to do it. I feel it. I feel the energy there. I'm all about it, except no, you can't. Your life is going to be miserable trying to deal with people. Unless, quite frankly, it's you signed up for it, you get what you get, and hands off.
Yeah, but that's what Google does. That's what AOL does. That's what all of them do now. Is if you are not paying for,
I don't think so. I think they do a really good, especially Google. They do a really good job with spam filtering.
Correct.
And they have to, otherwise people will jump ship.
Correct. Right.
And that costs them money.
But there's no support. You have no one to call and say, hey, I didn't get that email that cost me $1 million.
You don't have anyone to call, but you can submit a support ticket. And I'm not saying that they get back to you, although I think they do.
A lot of it is now AI generated responses.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But what it does is if enough people complain about the same issue, Google will fix it.
Correct.
They will, because they can't afford to lose those people.
This guy can do it too.
Can he?
What
is he? So he hasn't said how he's making money off this. If he's making money, is he charging by the account? Well, now you need to have support. You're charging by the account. You need support.
Correct.
No question.
If you're doing that, well, even Google.
And if you're not doing it, then how are you making money? Ads, maybe.
So Google Premium Mail Services, the Google paid version.
Yeah, right.
I think at base level you only get like chatbot support.
Chatbot.
Meaning,
I know what you mean.
So it used to be a human.
Yeah.
But now, like, it's mostly bots answering you until you get into
even at the paid level.
Oh yeah, it always starts with, from what I can tell, because we have a client that uses it, and I'm like, you're always, regardless of how you phrase the question, you're pretty much always getting the same answers. Right?
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Because
it's true.
Because like if you call Verizon and you're like, oh, I have no internet at my house. Yeah. The first 5 steps are always the same. They take you
unplug,
through.
reset, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Right. Which means that technically you could have an AI, and when you get to question 6 and whatever that is, and they say, well, I did that as well and it's not working, the system simply says,
though,
hold on and I'll transfer you to someone else.
It can be human. I'll tell you why. You ever see the show The IT Crowd?
No.
It's a British show about these IT support people.
Okay.
And the one guy has the same script. Every time someone calls, he doesn't say, hello, can I help you? Did you turn it off and turn it back on again?
Yeah,
That's
right.
the first thing he says every time.
Yeah.
It's so great. So it could be a human, but it probably isn't.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a way, like it would be a super hard market to break into. You would need the data centers alone to keep the IP addresses whitelisted.
Yes.
To keep the spammers off from using your service. Like the policing around this has to be like the rules and everything you have to have.
You're right.
Place.
You're talking about domain keys and things like
Correct.
that. This is not a simple process. You're right. That's even besides the script and setting it up. Besides the making sure people get their emails, making sure email gets out is going to be your biggest nightmare. You're right, because everyone's going to block you. You can't just have one IP address. You need thousands of IP addresses. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a much bigger task than this guy's thinking.
Correct. Or because he said, right? Didn't he say in there he's the web app?
Yeah, he does server
management.
He has more hardware experience than software.
Yeah, it's in the web app and server management, right? So like, he probably understands what he's getting himself into, because he's just asking for scripts at this point.
Yeah.
And if someone's done server management, especially anything that ever had email on it, you got to know what you're getting yourself into. Like, there's no way you're not.
Right.
I would never do it, but I'm not going to say it's an impossible task.
Oh, it's not impossible.
The last part is, well, like you asked, where are you going to make money?
Right.
Right? Because if you're not charging users,
then it's advertising. It's only
and then you're going to be paying Google for their AdSense.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to be running AdSense or something similar on your site.
It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
All right.
From a business, I love the idea. I would not do it as a business.
I want to know what the domain is.
That's why I want him to do it. I want to come back here in 3 months and find out what the domain name is.
All right. Let's see.
Validate my idea.
Sure. Funny. Sure Journalist 3207 says, validate my idea.
Okay.
We always hear only the success stories, and this is dangerous because people overestimate the chances of success. On the contrary, story of failures are not told. We will never be able to learn from their mistakes and lessons. That's a very good point, actually. I have an idea to build a database that collects these stories, organizes and indexes them. Then the next time we come up with a brilliant idea, we have references to what has been tried and doesn't work. Hopefully, we can make that work. I can see the extensibility of a solution there that is connecting story owners, buying assets from previous attempts, etc., and hopefully leading to monetization. So we learn from our mistakes is basically what this is. It's some type of software that helps you learn from your mistakes, or learn from other people's mistakes.
Yes.
Okay. Kind of cool.
Yeah. There's an old saying though.
What?
You can't learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah, you can't learn from your own. Can't you though? I mean, you can learn something. You can
Correct.
learn certain things,
Correct.
right? Like I do like to go online and watch videos of people talk about their failed businesses and why they failed.
Why they think they failed.
True.
Right? So that's an important...
But don't you usually know why you failed?
No.
You have to have some inclination why you failed.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm going to say the vast...
If you're being real and truthful to yourself, you should have some inclination as to why you failed. If you want to blame everybody else, you'll never have an idea.
That's a big if. Right? If you want to be truthful to yourself, you'll know why you failed.
Right.
How many people are that truthful to themselves?
I guess, yeah. It's a good point.
At the end of the day, I have talked to I don't know how many business owners that have gone out of business, and it's always the same crap, right? I was in the wrong demographic area for this product, or I don't think my brand was right, or my accountant didn't keep my books accurate, and there's all these things.
There's always somebody else's fault.
Correct,
always.
Right? Like it's very rarely I didn't go out and sell the And that's ultimately what caused the failure of my business.
Right.
And I know this because I had a client signed up with me. For a year, we kept telling her, go sell it. She's like, yeah, but this wording isn't right on my website. And I think I need this handout. And I'm like, just go out, start selling it. Go out, start selling it. And it got to the point where I refused to do any more work for her. And I'm like, you have to go out and start selling this, because we won't know what to fix because you're just guessing right now, because you're building this all on you. She went out, started selling, took 72 days till she was fully booked. I'm like, you could have done this a year ago, right? Like with what we had a year ago, you could have done exactly what it is. You just needed to wrap your head around it rather than us telling you that this is what you needed to do based on what we've learned from other people. And this is why I say, like, it's so hard to learn from other people's mistakes. Is we were telling her, your business is going to fail unless you go out and sell it. It doesn't matter how much admin work you're doing and how many processes you're developing and how many questionnaires you're building until you start selling the actual service. All of this is useless.
So I cannot agree with you more. No, seriously, I have clients that come to me and they want to start a business. And they have this business plan together and they have wonderful forecasts, et cetera, et cetera. But what's not in there is how they're going to get those sales.
Correct.
And they think that sales are just magically going to come because they've started the business. And I'll say to them every time, kind of like you did, I'll say, okay, where are these sales coming from? Where'd you get these projections from? Well, I figure we'll sell 100 products in the first month. Who are these 100 people you're selling to? Right? Have you identified them yet? Well, my brother-in-law wants one, and my uncle said he'll buy one. I'm like, all right, you're not selling 100 of these or whatever the number is in the first month. Go do that first. Don't waste your money here. Don't waste your money starting up a business yet until you know how you're going to get that. Now, I say, well, how do I do that? Well, there's networking groups. There's marketing channels you can go down. I don't see anywhere on here. You say you have a website. Where's the monetization of the website? Where is I'm going to spend X number of dollars to drive people to my website?
Correct. So first of all, if you're selling a widget or something like that, there are so many platforms like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, where you can actually test to see if people would buy it, right? And that's way cheaper than entering into a full marketing. Like, do a test of concept run. See if people would actually be willing to buy it, right? The other thing is, I was just talking about this in a video the other day, is I get asked to review business plans every once in a while.
Yep.
The one number that is always underestimated. Underestimated. Cost of marketing.
Yeah, cost of marketing, absolutely.
And most of the time, it's underestimated by like 300%.
Oh, easy.
Right? Like
easy. I tell people,
it's insane.
What's your marketing budget? X, triple it.
Triple it. Yeah.
Why? Because that's what it's going to cost you. And that might not even be enough.
Especially when
then what are your sales? Divide it by 3.
Correct. Like, and that's what people don't get. It is far more expensive to do marketing than people realize, right? So let's say you're selling a widget and you decide to run a Facebook campaign. Do you know what a good return on a Facebook campaign is? It's 4 to 5x.
Okay.
Right? Which means if you're selling something for, $10, if you spend $100 on advertising that $10 item at a 4x return,
you get 400, right? Yeah.
It's not a very high return because you still have to ship it. You still have to produce it. You still have to do all of these things. So you're spending $1 for every 4 you get back just on marketing.
Right.
That means whatever you project your sales number to be for that year. If you say, I'm going to do $1 million in sales, okay, then your marketing budget should be at least $250,000 for the first year. And people go, what? I'm like, and you have to come up with that $250,000.
Right.
Because marketing comes
it's not
first.
Sales-based.
Correct. Yeah. Marketing comes first, which leads to sales.
And it's not guaranteed.
Far from it.
Yeah.
And well-optimized campaigns can, depending on what product or service it is, people think all of this stuff happens instantly.
Don't they?
Right? And I'm like, you realize it can take anywhere from 3 to 8 months to fine tune a campaign to get you to a 4 or 5 or 6x return. Yeah. And people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you could be 30 grand in. And anybody that is reasonable as a marketing person, when you call them and say, hey, how quickly am I going to make my money back? Most of them will tell you, if you can't throw 3 to 6 months worth of ad budget out the door, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't be hiring us to do it, because it can take 3 to 6 months to get. Does that mean you'll get no return? No, but you're not going to get optimal return on a campaign in 30 days.
Right. So many people think
you might
build my website. Where's all my traffic at? Where's my millions?
Yeah. You might break even at best during the first 2 or 3 months of someone running an ad campaign for you. Right. And I know, because we just ran one for someone you and I both know. The average cost per lead was $221.
But what's a sale on that lead though?
So it's a reoccurring.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll
make lifetime.
So total lifetime value was like $8,000.
Okay, there you go.
So
well worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's what 40 times, right? 40 times.
Correct. Yeah. When you compare it to lifetime value.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but the first month of subscription barely covers.
Oh yeah.
Right. The profit on that barely covers the cost of the lead. Right. So they're breaking even on the month the lead signs up. They make money the second month. Mm-hmm. But still, people don't understand that you still had to fork over $200 and some odd to get that lead. Yeah. Right. And what if your conversion rate is 10%? Right. Now you need 100 leads. They're lucky that their conversion rate is like 92%. Right. But for someone that has a 10% conversion rate at $200 a lead.
Oh.
Not
worth it.
you got to come, unless you're selling like a super high profitable, high ticket item. Like I think personal injury attorneys, the cost per lead, I think, is $226.
I'm surprised it's that low.
Yeah, I think that's what the average was last year. I can look it up, right? Or they put attorneys.
Really
they may put attorneys all together.
Okay.
Right. So the average cost per lead was like $200 and some odd for an attorney, I think. I don't remember right offhand. But people don't understand how this math works, right? And this is why, as much as I love this idea, there needs to be something in this that explains that the root reason for any business not taking off is lack of sales.
Right.
Right? Sales creates a lot of forgiveness.
Oh yeah, revenue solves problems. Absolutely.
Correct. So, do I like this idea of, hey, we tried this stuff, I had a brilliant idea, and then the guy writes a horrible story about how it was Google's fault that the business never took off, right?
Always somebody else's problem.
Does that mean that it wasn't a brilliant idea, or does that just mean that the execution of how they did it was a really bad idea?
I honestly have come to the conclusion that any idea is a good idea. It's a matter of who's actually running it. You could sell anything in this world. Anything. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just a matter of who's willing to stand up and do it, who's got the energy and the drive to go forward. And
if I told you I wanted to open up a online pharmacy,
except for email platforms.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
You just knocked that one. But like, let's say I came to you.
Online pharmacy, okay.
Online pharmacy, but I want to operate on as small margins as humanly possible. Do you think that's a good idea?
Do I think it's a good idea?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Right. Mark Cuban thought it was a great idea.
Well, Mark Cuban can.
Correct, right? So, but once again, just because it's a good idea for someone doesn't mean it's a good idea for you.
Right. There's a difference between the person who can afford to spend a couple million and lose,
correct,
and the person who can't afford to spend a couple million because they'll go bankrupt.
And there's something that people tend to forget, that first to market isn't always the successful to market.
No, it's not.
Right. So if you see someone and they had a great idea and they went in and they fell flat on their face. You don't know, you don't get the true story of why, because you don't understand what their skill set is. You don't understand what their motivation was. Do I still 100% agree with this as being a good idea, what she's talking about here, or he? Absolutely. I would love to have a database like this, because ultimately you'll be able to collect information on not what went wrong with necessarily whether it was the idea or not, but what you're primarily looking for is, was it the execution?
Right. And it's generally the execution. Here's what I did wrong with the execution.
Generally, yes.
But you're right. A lot of people don't want to admit that. But they don't want to admit that they were the ones that were wrong.
But there are things like bad ideas, right? Like one of my favorites, resume writing for unemployed people. That was literally an idea that was floated. I'm like, so you want to write resumes for people that don't have an income and you want to charge how much?
Right.
And I'm like, this is why you're not hitting your numbers. You should be writing the resumes before they leave their job, because then they can actually pay you. Once income starts, I'll guarantee you they'll shut off any outgoing money spigot, right? It's just human nature.
Yeah.
So once again, just because it's a good idea or a brilliant idea, it's the execution.
The way
you're targeting it at the wrong time. Yep. You have a fundamental base difference, right? And my brother-in-law apparently, I think, is starting up a cleaning business. And he sends me his flyer. And on the flyer it says, it's bad. Like, it literally says, no.
It's bad cleaning service.
No, the flyer is bad, right?
I know, I'm kidding.
But on it literally says, XYC cleaning service. We cleans homes, apartments, and businesses. And then on the bottom of the flyer, there's like this picture of like two awesome looking apartments in a house. Mm-hmm. And then they list out vacuuming, dusting, basically what they do in the house. And I'm like, that's called cleaning. Like that should not be on a fly. If I can't assume that you're going to dust and wipe things off and vacuum,
right,
you are not a cleaning service, right? But
you're a straightening up service.
Correct, right? Like, when are you going to come in? Just here, I'll move this cup, right? I'm like, you got to find something that makes you different and solve a problem. So I sent him a picture of a woman with 2 kids crawling all over her while she's trying to work on a laptop, with a copy that just said, busy, we get it. Let us take the cleaning off your plate, right? And I don't have to explain what the cleaning is.
Everyone does.
Correct. I don't have to explain that we're going to clean your bathrooms and your bedrooms and vacuum, right? Once you get in the door, now it's hey. So most cleaning services, for example, are based on shoulder height and below.
Okay.
Right? A lot of people, like, if you're cleaning businesses,
yep,
what's included in your service, or at least back in the day when I was doing
without the reach up.
Correct. It's shoulder height and below. Well, that means once a year,
fans,
or 3 months or 6 months, somebody's going to have to reach up and do the fans and all that
the windows.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Now there's an upcharge, right? Most residential cleaning doesn't include cleaning your oven. That's an add-on charge,
Doesn't
right?
oven self-clean?
Yes.
That's a joke. No.
Go use that feature.
Go to use, see what happens. Especially if you haven't used it before.
Correct.
You've had it for 10 years.
Dude, have you ever looked up the videos where they're with the firefighters warning about it?
Oh,
Dude.
yeah.
But anyway, but back to my point is, normally it's the execution of it. It's not the idea itself.
Right.
And what I think this database could show more than anything is what is bad execution, not what's a bad idea. What's a bad execution of an idea.
Right. Okay. I like it. No.
So here's...
I agree. I agree with you. It happens all the time. Clients come in. Yeah. They have ideas, and I try to prevent them from failing. I try to help them with my best by. Are they really ready to be? Are you really ready to do this job?
Correct.
Like, I want to start a business. Do you?
Do you really?
Do you really want to start a business? Greatest thing you'll ever do.
Yep.
But are you sure you're ready for it? Because it is not all guts and glamour. It's not all glory and glamour. There's a lot of
anybody that comes to me with a new business and saying, "Hey, I want to start a business," I try to talk them out of it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because most people go, "Are you trying to talk me out of this?" And I'm like, "Am I getting close?" And they're like,
Then
"No,
you're not ready."
Correct.
Yeah.
If I can talk you out of it or start sowing doubt that you're going to be able to do this, then you're not ready to start right now.
Exactly.
Right? I'm not saying you're not ready to start it, but just not right now.
Yeah.
But back to my cleaning service thing.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I told them is don't compete with people on a head-on. Everybody does a cleaning service. What can you offer that someone else doesn't? Right? Because a cleaning service is not a brilliant idea, but you can have a brilliant idea within a cleaning service. So I told them go with a pricing model that's either a flex cleaning service, meaning we get to control what days we come in. But if you want a fixed day where we guarantee we'll be there on that day,
a little more expensive, right?
You're going to pay a premium for that. What that allows you to do is if you say, yes, we will come in and they'll never be more than 9 days apart and never shorter than 4 days.
Right.
Right? That's your wiggle room. That now means that you can flex stuff around.
Oh, your calendar is completely open. Up to you. Yeah.
Now you can move things around as you need it. If an employee shows up, like can't make it today,
right,
you have time in the schedule to move stuff
flexibility.
around. Correct. But as long as only 10 or 20% of your clients have a fixed day, then...
Well, you're limited to that.
Correct.
Right.
But now you have a lot more flexibility. And if you can't get that flexibility, the consumer then pays for the... I'm not going to say the inconvenience, but...
No, the convenience.
The convenience of
for
having...
them.
They know you're going to be there every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Come hell or high water, someone is going to be at your house cleaning it.
Right.
Right? That's our guarantee. That if you pay for that service, you're going to get it. The other thing is, otherwise, we show up on whatever day is good for us.
Yeah. Is that what you end up doing?
We're talking to them this weekend. They're
Oh,
literally launching now.
We're still talking about it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Once again, I do help family out every once in a while. I might send them a bill, but you know.
All right. Let's see what we have.
And if we weren't clear, yes, it's a good idea. I'd love to see a database list like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
100%. What would make it even cooler is if people that know the person could chime in.
Oh, interesting. And leave their own comments about it. Yeah, that's
right?
true.
So like if like I know a guy whose business failed and I can tell you 100% why it failed, it's because he spent 90% of his time planning, 10% selling. But he blamed his accountant. No.
Unless your accountant stole your money.
Correct. Like, but everybody else was to blame, right? But if realistically I know who that is and I can go, so that's not really why his business failed. This is the real reason. Like he wasn't out making sales. Mm-hmm. Now that changes how you read the storyline, right? So anyway.
All right. So we're going to move on. At Objective 7150 says, what do you think for starting up an IoT domain? All right, let's see. I'm thinking of investing my time and money to build IoT products in domains like healthcare and smart home, security, and toy robotics. I'm thinking of picking 1 or 2 products initially, then going to market for a reality check to see how it's doing. What do you think? Is this a good idea to pursue or not? I am a technical person. I have a little knowledge of circuit designs and electronic components. Is there anyone who's interested? Please DM me. So they want to get into the IoT world. Okay, well, I mean, the IoT world's a little saturated, but that's okay. It doesn't mean you can't come up with a cool idea. So, all right, hold up. So I got to back up here.
I'm just going to say,
yeah,
70% of people are not going to know what IoT domains are. Getting
fair.
into the IoT domain.
Internet of Things. Okay. Internet of Things is not so much your cell phones, but like all your
smart bulbs.
Your devices around your home, your refrigerator.
Correct.
Like, okay, so for example, there are refrigerators out there that can literally tell you when you're low on milk.
Yes.
Right. How does it do it? It has a sensor inside. Milk goes into a certain spot. It has a sensor to know when the milk is low. It then goes to the internet and sends you either a text or an email letting you know that the milk is low. That's an Internet of Things. Okay, a lot of these baby monitors or teddy bears that have cameras in them, and when if the baby starts moving too much at night, it senses it and it sends a signal to mom and dad through text or something like that. Hey, something's up with baby. Right? That's Internet of Things, and then those are just a couple of millions of examples of, at least you mentioned light bulbs, right? There you have a single light bulb that has millions of different color choices on it, right? Internet of Things. And those light bulbs can do things too. Those light bulbs can be security cameras too, not just lights. They all kinds of different things, right? All your Ring devices at home, if you use the Ring service, Internet of Things, okay? That's what IoT devices are. Yep. Okay.
I just wanted to be clear.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. People sometimes they don't know what they are. So anyway, there's already millions of them out there. Okay. But every time I see another one, it's like, that's a great idea. It's endless. It really is endless. And there's always amazing ideas. Now, this isn't necessarily IoT. It's not IoT at all, but it can kind of lead to it. So I went to the Eagles game the other night. And I didn't download the app in time. I didn't know, but my friend who's a season ticket holder told me, download the app and you put your phone up. And then everyone's light on their phone synchronizes in the stadium. And when this team is coming out of the tunnel, the lights all go off and they know where you are positioned, and it starts doing like a wave and stuff like that. It's everyone's phone, almost like an LED board around the stadium. That is cool. That was like, I was like, what a great idea, right? What a simple but great idea. And you can do that with IoT. Right? With IoT, there's so many simple but amazing ideas that we just haven't thought of yet, that are just so easy to do.
So basically, you could take 1,000 light bulbs and accomplish the same thing if you attach this to a seat and all connected.
Well, yeah, you could do that, sure.
But you're just doing it on an app instead.
You're doing it on an app instead because people feel like they're a part of it now, right? That's an app. I was just saying as an example of something that's relatively new.
I know
that is simple. We could have been doing it for 10 years now, but we haven't been, right? It's a newer idea.
And people don't understand that there's a whole industry dedicated to fan experiences.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Like there's
Absolutely.
a whole industry. I know a VC in that space.
Oh, do you?
Which is fascinating because they get pitched like 2,000 new ideas every year.
They have to. Yeah, they have to.
And they have relationships with like
let's take those
and,
2,000 ideas. Those
Jaguar.
2,000 ideas, even if half of them are brilliant ideas, there's probably more than that, right? You can't do everything.
Correct.
So you got to narrow down. But think about how many great ideas are in there somewhere, right? And that's just for fan experience.
And correct. So they actually do both. So they do anything that helps improve sports teams, whether it's player management, fan experiences, their VCs are basically for the sports industry. And they have clients like, the Jacksonville Jaguars and Man United Soccer Club. Like these are all clients of theirs. But what's interesting to me is that where's the end of Internet of Things?
There is none. That's the beauty of it.
Is everything going to be the Internet of Things?
Well, everything has the option.
Are my shoes?
Your drink can be the Internet of Things right there. Like that container of Coca-Cola could be your thermos could be the Internet of Things, right?
I mean, I guess they launched a Samsung Ring now. So now your jewelry is...
Yes, I saw the ring. Yes,
right?
It's neat. Yeah,
it is neat. It's funny
neat.
because you say it's neat. I'm like, well, that's dumb.
No, I think it's kind of neat.
No,
right?
but there's always going to be...
Oh, everyone thought a smartwatch would be the dumbest idea, and then wound up being everyone has one now except me. I'm the only one who doesn't have one.
I finally bought one because... Do you know the only reason I bought it?
No.
Is because I hate listening to my phone ring.
Oh, okay.
So now I can keep it on silent.
And you'll know when someone calls.
Yes.
Yeah, because my phone is right next to me all day long. Right next to me in the office all day long. And when it's on vibrate, because sometimes I forget to turn it on.
Oh, no.
I will miss the call, even though it's right next to me. I'll look over in the last second. It's like, oh, I just missed it.
Mine's on silent.
Yeah, but it'll...
Correct. Because
great. Okay, Internet of Things,
yes.
right? I just saw this, and I'm telling you, I love it. I don't know if you ever like it all. I love it. My wife doesn't know when I'm going to get this for us for our anniversary. It is a pair of bracelets, right? And when you tap the bracelet, it taps her bracelet too. So because a lot of times I travel for work. Right, so I could be all the way on the other side of the country, or sometimes I'm traveling around the world or doing something like that. It is, I love it.
That is so sweet.
And you can tap the bracelet, and it taps her as well, and then she can tap back. It's the Internet of Things. It's the coolest thing. Isn't that the greatest idea?
Let's get back to how romantic
simple.
you are.
Aren't I romantic? But no, seriously, think about that. It's the simplest idea. It is so simple.
So
now that it's done,
does that have to be synced with your phone and her phone or internet, whatever?
I'm imagining it's through the phones.
It's got to be because it's the internet.
I'm imagining it's through the phones. But just think about how simple that is, right? It's just a way to communicate.
It's like the old friendship hearts that you used to break in half.
No, it's not. That's the difference.
No, I'm saying, but now like they're direct connection. So anytime I think of you and touch it.
Well, yeah, honestly.
Wow.
How cool. No, you can do it with your children or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we just sent our son to school. Right, freshman in college. My wife's devastated. She's not devastated now, but she was devastated for the first week or so. Her baby boy is out of school. Imagine, now he would hate it, of course.
I was going to say.
But imagine if he allowed her to do that.
Don't set her up for disappointment where you give it to him and her, and he leaves his.
But no, seriously, that's an IoT device. Yeah. And it's such a cool idea. It's a simple idea, but it's so cool, right? So things like that. Yeah, if you want to take some time and money and come up with really unique, and that's the one thing about the IoT world, I think, which is different than a lot of other places. There's millions and millions of unique ideas that have yet to be discovered.
Correct.
You can't say that about many industries at all.
And this guy is doing it right. He's going to do 1 or 2 product tests,
right.
See what the response is, and then evaluate it from there. That's 100% the right way to test the product.
Exactly.
Right. We talked about this before. Kickstarter and any of those is if you can, and I will take it a step further than he does and take it back to don't produce it until you have pre-orders. Sell the idea, right, to the early adopters that are willing to wait a little bit for it before you start actually manufacturing. That's how you can tell whether or not your product is most likely going to sell at some point. And also don't underestimate the amount of time it takes for a product to build momentum.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like a lot of people throw something out for 60 days and they're like, oh, this isn't really catching on. I'm like, dude, you sold 700 units of it. Like, that's pretty good in your first 2 months, right?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, but it didn't meet our expectation.
Well, then your expectations were out of control.
Right? Like,
if your expectations should have been 10 units.
Correct. Like either you didn't market it enough or your expectations were aligned. But I'm like, you had decent numbers. You need to let it develop a little bit and see if you get that secondary market.
I mean, tell people honestly, from the day you launch a product, like let's say a physical product, right? Yeah. Until the day where you sell enough where your company is not that you're aggregately in the red in the black, but where you're now selling enough product where you're not losing money. How many years is that?
As the manufacturer?
Yeah.
So it
obviously it varies. I get that.
Correct. But I mean,
on average,
I would say expect your first probably 12 to 16 months that you're going to be possibly operating in the red.
I was going to say 2 years. Yeah, about 2 years.
Until you start seeing the profitable side of things, right?
And that's just getting to the black, not getting aggregately in the black. That's another year or two down the line.
Right. That's why I say going from red to black.
Right.
As far as revenue goes, not aggregate. Now, are there things where it's happened where it's shorter, where it's longer? Yes.
Of course.
Are there products that have blown up overnight?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Sure, it happens.
You have a better chance of winning the lottery.
Correct. Right? And that's what people tend to forget is, so if you can keep your production costs low or not produce until you've sold it, you are minimizing the amount of time that you are going to be in the red.
Right.
So let's say you wanted to start a candle business, right? And you're just going to do it from home. You're going to do little candles that you make like people were doing during the pandemic. What is your cost? Well, you got to get the tools, which nominal expense.
Yep.
You got to get the wax. You got to get the scents. So very low barrier to entry, right? But you also don't have the capacity to manufacture a lot because you're using the in-home
Right.
type equipment, right? So you could operate in the red for 2 weeks. You sell a handful of candles, right? Handful of
Yeah.
candles.
Right.
And now you're in the black, right? So 2 weeks to get to where you're now actually making money because you already have the supplies and now it's rolling, right? But that's call it a $300 investment
Yeah.
to
What are you
get
really going
started.
to make on that?
Correct. But it's a $300 investment,
Right.
right? What happens when that's a $300,000 investment, right? Now all of a sudden you have to sell a boatload of stuff,
Yeah.
right? When you buy that first industrial grade wax melting machine, right? Now all of a sudden that machine is going to be operating in the red for 6 to 8 weeks before
Yep.
you see any return on it, right? Like, and this is the stuff that people generally don't understand about business, is that this is why you have things like, what's it called, amortization and stuff like that, where you can write things over a period of
Yep.
time, because it is such a massive hit on your business. This is where people don't realize buying that $60,000 machine, you might be paying that off for 3 years. You might have to sell
Right.
1,000 candles every month just to pay for that machine.
Forget about the depreciation.
Correct.
Which is a whole different story.
But you have to sell 1,000 candles every month just
Yeah.
to make the payment on the machine, right? And you still have to buy all of your supplies. You still have to do all your marketing. It's just people underestimate how long it can take to become actually profitable, right? Unless you're selling something like a service, which is your time, then you can be profitable tomorrow. And we've talked about this before, like landscapers. If you want to start a hardscaping business, there's a lot of money out just for base equipment,
Yeah.
right? So it could take you 3, 6, 8 months to start making the money back to pay for your time and get your money back from the equipment.
But if you're just buying a lawnmower and cutting grass, you'll be paid back in a couple of weeks.
Correct.
Yeah.
$50 a lawn. You could do 3 lawns in a day.
Right.
You're probably paid off in 2 weeks for that lawnmower. If you need the weed whacker too, right, a few days.
Another few days.
But
right.
you will not scale your business with a walk behind lawnmower and a weed whacker.
Right.
Right. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, it's just concepts that people need to do their homework on before they start any type of business. But I do agree with you, back to this IoT, right, is this allows you to start at a very, very small scale and test it before you go into any type of production or anything.
Yeah.
And 100%, this is how you should do it, though exactly the way this guy's doing it.
And if you do have a little bit of knowledge on circuit designs and electrical components, you could build your own boards. You could build your own chips.
Yeah.
You can buy EEPROM chips and program them yourselves these days.
Yeah.
Still, I think they still use assembly for that, don't they?
I'm not sure.
For the EEPROMs?
Not sure what they use.
I'm not sure what language they use these
But
days.
it's more about the product than the circuit board anyway, right?
Well, yeah, but you still have to build a circuit board.
Correct,
board,
but you can always
circuit boards like
All
that
right.
big.
But like, once again, if you can pre-sell 1,000 units at slightly over what you think it's going to cost, it's a proof of concept.
Yeah.
You don't have to build it yourself anymore.
All right. Well, again, I love the idea. I love IoT. IoT devices are fun. A lot of them are nonsense, but some of them are a lot of fun. If you do it the right way, it can really it could change your whole your whole attitude toward certain aspects of life. All right. Let's see. We're not gonna go there. Roast my idea. You got it. Last one, Gummy.
Last one.
All right. Hello, people. Please review my idea for a side project, which I'm going to start. Play Pals, play on words, is an idea to develop a mobile application designed to foster social interaction and promote physical activity within closed communities such as colleges, residential societies, and workplaces by providing a platform where users can anonymously schedule and join sports activities, book facilities, and connect based on shared interest. The app allows anonymous interaction until both parties join the game. This creates a judgment-free environment that focuses on sports and skill building rather than personal identity. It will just be a Playo app. I guess a play app for a closed community.
There's an app called Playo.
Oh, is there an app called? I don't know it.
I heard about it. My brother told me about it once.
Okay.
I just recognized the name.
Okay. And users can join other games by just looking at game details and users' game profiles, etc., etc. Personal data like name, gender, photo, unless they join the game, won't be seen by other players. We feel that anonymity will help promote people to go without any biases and without being judgmental. It gives an opportunity to meet new people and get over your prejudices. It also adds a sense of mystery and adventure. So what kind of games do you think they're talking about? At first, I was like, okay, I like this idea because I thought they were going in a different direction. So, for example, like, I really want to start going back to the gym. Like, I used to love going to the gym.
Yeah, that's
right?
what he's talking about.
Are you sure?
Yes, because...
When he talks about games, he's talking about like physical sport activities,
like dodgeball,
tennis or something like that.
Dodgeball,
okay.
pickleball.
So he's talking about that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
As far as
then I love this idea.
I think that's what Play-O is all about. If I remember my brother explaining it to me.
Okay, then I love this idea.
So like let's say I want it on Tuesday. I want to do a book club for people that read Little Red Riding Hood. I put that up. Hey,
never read that one.
Tuesday. It's a
classic.
It's classic. The Wolf's my favorite.
I like Grandma.
But yeah, so like you would set up this Tuesday. I want to have a discussion about Little Red Riding Hood. It's going to be from 3 to 3:30 in the cafeteria, in the corner table.
Okay.
Right, and anybody that's interested in showing up. Just click.
And so the differentiator here then is it's anonymous
until
they actually join, right?
Yes,
which is kind of cool.
So you don't see who the organizer is, you don't see who's attending, but the moment you click join,
that could be scary though.
The information, but I think they're right, and a lot of times, right? So this comes from being the fat kid, right? When I was younger, and being bullied,
you'll be excluded.
You were deliberately being excluded. Like you weren't asked because they would look at you and go, is someone really going to want them on their team?
Right.
Right? Like legit. What this encourages is people just sign up and show up. And now you just got to go, okay, apparently they wanted to play. You're not assuming that they don't anymore because they registered to show up.
Right.
Can you assume that I wasn't a fast runner? Probably. Right?
I can assume that now.
Correct. But yeah, I think stuff like this is good as far as, it takes a lot of the judgment out of participating in things, right? Like,
on both sides.
Correct. People are surprised at the number of people that still play Dungeons and Dragons into their 30s and 40s, right? Like, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's just they don't tell you,
right?
Because they know what your reaction's going to be. But there's a bunch of people that end up in communities where they don't know whether there's other Dungeons and Dragon players, and if they can't find something immediately online, like a group or a chat forum where people are saying, hey, we are, that person now has an opportunity to say, let me see if I can create a group in here.
And they can do it anonymously so that until someone joins the group, they're not exposed, so to speak.
Correct.
Right.
They're not and I'm just taking Dungeons and Dragons because generally people are like making fun of it.
Yeah.
Right. But
until you play it.
Yeah.
Until you play it.
I'm just saying it's generally something that people will go like, you still play Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like at your age. But I think it's a good way to do any of that stuff. Same thing if you wanted to do a backgammon tournament, right? It's a weird game to ask people to play.
I love backgammon.
I know.
Since I was a kid.
But it's still a weird, like, how do you approach that conversation at lunchtime?
True.
Right? I always like ideas that encourage people to get out and try new things, or even inviting people to do other things. If anonymity helps with that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think, like you said earlier, I think it helps it'll help you. It'll help everybody at both sides of it really get toward the goal here, which is let's just get a bunch of people together and do something, right? As opposed to, oh, I don't want to be with them, or more, I don't want that person to be with us, or something like that. Yeah, I kind of like the anonymous approach there because I think it'll help with that quite a bit.
So the idea is good. Now we have to ask the question: how are you going to make money?
How are you going to make money?
That because it's not a business, it's an idea.
Right.
This is a nonprofit right now.
Right.
How are you going to make money?
Right.
Memberships. Because you're going to need a lot of
So
people.
what was the Meetup? Remember Meetup, the app?
Yeah.
That's website, app,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
So they made money in two different ways. They had
Okay.
the free ones where you can go and just start a meetup, and then the ones that you paid a subscription for.
Okay.
You pay like $30 a month for your meetup group or something like that.
Okay.
And it had to do it. I think it had to do with the number of people in your group. After 5 people, it became a subscription. You have to pay for it.
Okay.
I think now you have to pay for everything, but originally it was up to 5 people, maybe 10 people, whatever it was. It was free, and then after that, you had to pay to have the group. And the larger the group, the more you would pay, which only made sense.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely something you can do here.
Okay.
If you're looking for a group of 2 or 3 people, doesn't cost you anything. If you're looking for a group of 20 to
we get back to prepare to operate at a net loss.
of course,
To begin with, until you can start charging for the service, basically.
right.
Okay.
So no, cool idea. I really like it. Mushroom Messiah. Mushroom masala.
Masala.
Sorry. Oh, I thought it was an I. So anyway, yeah, cool idea. I like it a lot, and I'm sure you got that Playo app too. I've never seen that.
Yeah. Not that I'm gonna leave my house to go join people to do stuff. I prefer to just be home.
What if I said it was whiskey drinking?
I can do that at home.
That you can, but you won't join other people to do it.
Yeah, it depends on who the people
the
are
whiskey?
and the whiskey. Yes. Sometimes the
cool.
whiskey can outweigh the people.
This is true.
If you call me and say, "Hey, I have a bottle of, I don't know, Pappy 21. I've always wanted to try it," and then you say, "Yeah, but this guy's gonna be there," I'm like, "Ooh, now I gotta weigh it out."
Yeah.
Right. But if
It's
you
Pappy 21,
if
though.
you would post anonymously, "I'm having a Pappy 21
yes.
tasting group."
There you go.
I'd
You're
be like,
showing up.
"I'm in."
You're in,
right?
you're
And then
showing
I
up.
get there and the guy's there. I'd be like,
I'm already here.
I'm already here. Might as well do it, right? But yeah, that's
Very
why
cool.
I think this is cool.
All right, buddy. We'll chat next week.
Yes.
Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
We'll figure it out
We'll
as
chat.
the week goes on. All right.
Yeah.